are presented with an opportunity on the planet today when most of the people are empowered with the power of data to make intelligent decisions. Shouldn't those decisions be valuable to their lives? Thank you for joining in on this 8th episode of the Design Learning Demystifying Design Thinking series, authored by me and brought to you by Giga Technologies. Value is a term that has been belittled by economists and politicians alike, reducing mere mortals to wonder the convictions to carry. Can there ever be a dispute that life is valuable more than anything else? Because it is life that provides an opportunity to create and thrive. It is the cattle that look to survive, and it goes without argument that the basis for value is intelligence, and intelligence is the engine to thrive. Which brings us to the moot question on what intelligence is. It is the way we interpret the signals or context in our individual lives that aggregates to a collective we call family, society, state, and nation. Value is and always will be a factor of life. It will always be about what one is worth, that is determined by what one can contribute and not what one can consume. Bhutan recently went through a national election, and the dominant issues were the serious economic challenges that have called into question the country's long-standing policy of focusing on gross national happiness over growth. Does it have to be one over the other? Why not mutually inclusive? Growth is when the bachelor's and master's degree obtained by the Prime Minister-elect Sherin Tobgay from the universities of Pittsburgh's Swanton School of Engineering and John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University can be made available to common citizens as a quality higher education in Bhutan itself. That will necessarily contribute to the joy and happiness of the citizens of Bhutan. It needs design learning to make that shift and be relevant to the demands of the modern world without compromising on one's core values. The conventional growth measured in terms of consumption as GDP should give way to measuring contribution that assures per capita income. Conventional economics theorizes that per capita income as a metric has limitations that include its inability to account for inflation, income disparity, poverty, wealth, or savings. This is a lazy argument pointing to poor design capabilities of systems. This is where systems over objects needs a fresh lens. Design learning will reverse this. It makes some sense when nations measure gross domestic product as a means of growth from the production of products and services consumed, where individuals are insulated from poverty. But today, even in an advanced nation such as the United States that has social security, not only is the debt-equity ratio high, but poverty is also peaking. And poverty here must be understood not just as a lack of money, but also a lack of ideas and incentive to grow personally. Value is not just about the availability of money, but rather the ability to invest that money into the right pots to support the growth of an inclusive economy. One that creates and not throttles opportunities for individuals and society at large to flourish. So wouldn't you agree with me when I harp on the aspiration, which is the force for the greater good, being the dominant driver of an economy that is value-driven? Value is derived at the sweet spot of determining the capital required to intersect the proof of what is important for life, supported by mechanisms of capability to make the transition such as technology and human willingness that enables a transformation. The simple question that is being asked is whether we can move past transactions to relationships. Can we move beyond the transactions that have become so routine with online to relationships that thrives with data that is sustained by digital? Can we use intelligence with integrity in the cause of the greater good, rather than use it for manipulating people in their weakest moments? Which goes back to the earlier argument on how we need to shape the economy with income parity that is determined purely by capability, addressing how capability of people can cause growth that increases the per capita. The funny part of this equation is, while nations like India rely on their weak currency against most international currencies and look to make a killing with exports, the new equation would require for goods produced to find national and local consumption. Thus, the increase in per capita income would also result in the increase in gross domestic product and not vice versa. Value is a measure of growth, and we aggregate from an individual to a collective. And the greater numbers that are involved in creation, greater are the chances of a value-oriented economy. This is certainly bound to happen, especially with Gen A and Gen Z, whose motivation to lead life is very different from any of its previous generations. Growth is an inevitability, like new shoots germinating on the ground with every new monsoon. Technology is bringing the new monsoon to the life on the planet, and there is a need to cultivate and reap a new harvest of crops that can contribute to the nutrition and health of life. This is the promise of the digital economy that is connected and contextual to life. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience. Please do share with those who haven't had the benefit to be part of this series yet. It is important that we influence more people to find critical mass in our communities of interest and communities of practice to further the agenda of innovation and growth. Subscribe and press the bell icon. See you next Tuesday with episode 9. Until then, stay safe and stay joyous.